Hey guys, it is time for yet a new video in a new chapter. So we're going to be talking about lesson 7-1 on equations. And really what this chapter is this lesson is going to introduce you to what an equation is and also about what is a solution to an equation. Okay? So we have been discussing expressions. So I'm going to do I call it a Venn diagram. I think you guys know it as a double bubble. And we're going to talk about expressions on this side, on the left. And let's talk about equations on the right. And you know, just like in core class, the part that overlaps is going to be something that they have that's the same. Okay? So let's talk about what these two guys might have in common. Well, first off, both of them can contain variables. It's a possibility. They contain numbers. There's operations. So we have adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Okay? All right, so let's talk about what is unique that an expression has from an equation. So let's see. It's a phrase, like in English. It's not something that stands alone. If it's a numerical one, yes, you can figure out the answer. If it's an algebraic one, you can only solve it if somebody tells you what the variable equals. Probably most important thing, there's no equal sign. So it's just, an expression is just up until the equal sign and there's no other number. So again, we can solve only if the value of the variable is given. So if I'm supposed to figure out what 2m plus 3 is, I don't know unless you tell me what m equals. All right, so let's see what makes an equation different from an expression. Well, it's more like a sentence. It's complete. I've got work on both sides. I've got an equals. I could solve it, okay? So we've got the equal sign. We can solve it. And what we're going to solve for is the unknown value. So we're going to solve for the unknown value. And that's really what this chapter is going to be about, is explaining how we solve equations appropriately. Okay? So get ready for new stuff. So this is the variable. All right, so that's the big difference there. So let's write down, looks like I made a mess over here, so let me clean that up. Yikes. So let's write down the definition of an equation. So it's a mathematical sentence that shows two expressions are equal to each other. Oh, and just to let you know, this should be 2 pages. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more on this. I'm probably going to have to go into a second screen that would still be part of your first page. All right, let's talk about what is a solution. What is a solution? So what's a solution to an equation? So it's a number that makes an equation true. Okay, so let's do a demonstration of what I mean by that. So let's say we have 5 plus x equals 13. Now, based on what you guys have done in the past, you might have said, okay, well, what do I need to add to 5 in order to equal 13? So you kind of are guessing an answer, right? So what I'm going to do is say, I think it's 8. So I'm going to substitute in 8, and then I'm going to check the math out. Let's see, 5 plus 8 is 13, and that equals 13, so that's going to be true. Okay, so remember what it says, the solution is a number that makes an equation true. So if x equals 8, then the equation is true. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to my next screen since I've taken up this whole one, and this is still page 1. I do need to remind you, and this happened in an earlier chapter as well, when you hear the word mentally, you're still going to show work. What's the mental part is the calculation generally, because it's a fact, okay? So you still need to show work. So that, again, that's what I'm going to be demonstrating, is what should your work look like, okay? All right, and then we're going to talk about a strategy that you probably are used to, and I'm going to tell you this is the only time you get to use this strategy, because what I'm going to spend the rest of this chapter doing is teaching you how to solve an equation the algebraic way. So guess and check method. Now, the reason why guess and check is not a good one is it may work for very simple equations, which, by the way, that's how we start, is with simple equations. But when you get to complicated equations, trying to guess the correct answer is not going to happen, okay? So basically, when you have the guess and check method, you're going to pick a number that you think will substitute in for the variable. Got to use those good words. And make a true sentence. Okay, and a true sentence, what's on the left is going to equal what's on the right. Okay? So how is this called guess and check? If that number that you pick, that you substituted in for the variable, gives a false sentence, so what's on the left doesn't equal what's on the right, try another value. And you keep doing that until you get to the answer, okay? But again, a lot of times what we're doing here, the math is so simple that it works out pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to go to a new screen because we're actually going to start page 2 where we're going to do the examples. Now I know some of you little small writers can fit more on one page, so we'll just see how you end up. So directions are going to say check the following numbers. Sometimes I cannot write. I have this little tab that gets right in the way. So I have to write backwards sometimes. Check the following numbers to see if there is a solution to the equation. So we've got two examples, and we're going to go through both of them. So first one says, or asks, is 3, 4, or 5 a solution of the equation? Dun, 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 dun. We're getting there. A plus 7 equals 11. Okay, so what I'm going to introduce you to is a table. And the table is going to help me figure this out. So basically, we're going to test our three values for A. We're going to substitute it into the equation we were given. So this is where your work is going to be done. And then we're going to answer this question. Are both sides equal? So if we get both sides equal, and we say yes, then we have found a solution. Okay? Now, there are actually some equations in which there are, actually let's change the colors here. Let's make those red. 3, 4, 5. There are some equations that will give you more than one correct answer. Probably nothing we'll study, but down the line you'll come across something. So we're going to start with the first one. And we have 3 plus 7, and does that equal 11? So we do the math. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 is not equal to 11. So we say no. Okay? And then that means 3 is not a solution. Okay? So let's try 4. 4 plus 7, does that actually equal 11? And 4 plus 7 is 11. And 11 equals 11. That's true. So we're going to say yes. And our conclusion would be 4 is a solution. So I'm going to put a star next to it. Yay, we found a winner. But let's try 5 just to double check, make sure we haven't done something goofy. And we have 5 plus 7. Does that equal 11? 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 doesn't equal 11. Our answer is no. So we would say 5 is not a solution. Pretty simple stuff, right? Okay, so our conclusion would be the solution is 4. Now, there are times when they give us 3 choices and none of them work. Ugh, that's annoying. All right, I'm going to put pause and I am going to write out the next problem. In fact, I think I'm going to go to the screen so I have plenty of room. So when we come back, do the same thing, pause and copy down the problem. Okay, so here is our situation. The total cost of a pair of skates and knee pads is $63. The skates cost $45. Use the guess, check, and revise strategy to solve the equation 45 plus k equals 63 to find k, the cost of the knee pads. Now, remember on the other page we talked about the guess and check method? Well, this is basically the same thing, but I didn't add the word revise. And revise is what we do with our answer. So we look at how off is our answer, and then we're going to revise our guess so that we'll get closer to the answer we need. All right, so let's start off with 45 for the skates, K for the knee pads is going to equal $63. So I'm going to guess a number. Let's try 15. So let's substitute in 15 for K and see what we end up with. So we have 45 plus 15 is equal to 63. And again, that's a question mark because we're not sure. So let's see. If I add there 15, I get 0, carry the 1, 5 and 1 is 6. So I get O. Yikes. That didn't work. So here's what I'm going to do. This tells me that I need to, 15 is too low. Okay? It didn't give me the 63, it gave me 60. In fact, it gave me 3 below the total number I needed. So since I got 60, which is 3 below our goal of 63, I'm going to make a suggestion that you try 3 above 15. Okay? And why? Because 63 is 3 above 60. Okay? All right, so let's try that. Let's go to k equals, let's see, 15 plus 3 is 18. So let's try that one. And we get 45 plus 18 equals 63. All right, so let's see. We get 13, we get 5, carry the 1 is 6. Oh, look at that. Yes, 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 yes. So we just figured out the answer. And it wasn't that I just willy-nilly guessed any number, but I guessed intelligently. And I revised based on that guess. Looking at, I'm below what I need to do, so I need to raise up my number. How far below was I from my goal? 3. So I raised up my guess by 3. If I was too high with my guess, I'd have to go lower. So that's what we're talking about here. And our conclusion is the knee pads cost $18. Okay? All right, that's it. Under 20 minutes. Yay! Have a good night, guys. Or, yes, good night, good weekend. Bye.